Hey, it's your friend Renee, and welcome to the ITZINU podcast. So today I'm going to be talking about something that has been going on in our household probably most of this year. And I feel that I'm really glad that I myself is equipped with the skills and the knowledge that I have to cope with the situations that we've been going through. And trust me, there's lots of times that I just want to lose it, but that's not going to help anyone involved. And what I want to talk about to everybody is talk about our experience that's been happening in our household and how we've been managing it to hopefully help you guys think a bit differently, or to maybe look at putting yourself a little bit first so then you can be better for everybody else. And what I find a lot is I find so many mums feel that guilty for putting themselves first. They don't feel like they should, that, you know, everything that the kids need, that needs to happen for them. And then they don't fill their own cup, or they don't do things for them. And then we end up totally worn out and, worn down. And, you're no good for anybody when you're like that. So I have two kids. So I have a 9-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And my 9-year-old has been going through a lot of struggles at school. And I was surprised because I probably expected it from girls, but I didn't quite expect it from boys. So it's kind of blown me away. And with everything that's been going on, I don't know if I'm doing this right. He's my first child. It's my first experience through, going through each year level of school. And I don't know what to expect. But all I know is that I'm definitely trying my hardest. I'm trying my hardest and I'm doing the best job I can. And that's all that I can ask for, we can ask for. But my son has been having a lot of trouble with other kids, and I guess you would call it bullying in some way. And it has been going on since the first term. Now we had heard about it, and he was saying stuff. And we're the type of parents that I don't like to make a big deal. I don't like to, I'm not one to make a big fuss about things. So we kind of, he said things were going on, but I didn't quite realize how serious it was until actually another mum sent me a text message. So I got a text message from another mum apologizing for her son's behavior and that he was bullying Cooper. And I was like, oh, I knew stuff was going on, but I didn't quite realize how bad it was. So, but what I want is it's really hard to hear this stuff's going on. I'm also very objective and understand that my son is by no means perfect. And I'm sure in everything that's happened, he has played his fair share, and I'm not one of those parents to be thinking, well, my son's victim and, that he's perfect, because he's not. None of us are. But what I want to get across to everybody is it's really important to look after you. So you are the mum. You are the powerhouse of your family. You keep everybody together. Now, if you aren't good, if we aren't feeling great, if we aren't mentally strong, when you come to situations like this, it's really hard. It's really hard to be cool and calm and collected, which is what they need. They don't need you to be emotional. And look, I went to school one day. This was back in the first term. I think I went to school one day, and I was asking the teacher what was going on and trying to understand, and because it got to a point where Cooper wasn't wanting to go to school, and I was like, something, like we'd send emails, but nothing was really happening. And I said to her, I was asking what was going on and trying to understand it all, and I ended up crying. And I thought, oh my God, they must think I'm like the blubbering mother over here, because I was crying. And then the kids were looking through the classroom and they're like, Cooper, your mom's crying. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to embarrass him even more and give him more of a reason to be picked on. So I wasn't as cool, calm and collected at that point. But it had built up. over a long time. You know, I do want to point this out to everybody because I'm very strong. I'm a really strong person. I have strategies into place to help me manage my stress. Strategies in place to, and I didn't for a long time. I didn't, until I realized my stress got really bad. And now I have strategies for this. I have strategies for keeping my cup full. And it is something, and making sure that I'm doing stuff for me. But I come across so many mums that don't put themselves first. You're unhappy, or you're a little bit stressed out and you're not your best version of yourself. And then when you come across a situation like this, you can't be the best version for your child, which in this situation, it needs it. We're now in term 3. So we're now in term 3 and it's still going on with, now it's like different kids and there's different things. And I don't know if this is just a 9-year-old thing or if it's the personality or, what's going on. But, it's affecting it affects our everyday life at home. So depending on, just this last week, so things had kind of calmed down. It's kind of heightened back up again with a different person this time. Just this week, my son has been crying in his sleep because he doesn't want to go to school, because he doesn't want to face this child. This morning, he was saying, that this child was in his dreams, and he was like, I just want him to get away from my dreams. And like I said, I'm trying my very best and I'm doing the best that I can, but I know that I'm in a good place mentally, which means I can deal with this a lot better. And this is why I'm letting you know this bit of our kind of personal life, because I want you to think about there's more reasons for working on you than just being selfish. Because when you're good, you can be good for them. And through what's been going on with us for this kind of year with Cooper in school, it's been really, really difficult. So this morning again, so he had woken up saying, so this was before I had got up. So it was say 4 o'clock in the morning that this child was in his dreams. So that's what it said. This child was in his dreams and he was crying again. Then I had some classes. So I teach classes from 5 a.m. in the morning. My husband started a job. He started a different job this year, so he starts work at 6 a.m. So I might be running some classes, and my studio is right next to my house. So the kids are coming between the studio and in the house and whatever else. And we have a little routine worked out, which is fun. When I was getting them, I'd finished with my clients and we were getting ready just to go to school. And sometimes when we've been ready on time, we'll be going down to the beach. So we're going to the beach. I feel it's a really nice, calming way to start the day, and it gets them away from the TV screen. My kids are up early. My house is all ready and organized. So if we're ready and organized before 7 a.m., or just bang on 7, then I know that we could go to the beach for 40 minutes before having to go to school. So that's fine. So that was kind of the plan. But then it kind of didn't, he started getting upset and I knew there was something else going on, and I was trying really hard not to get angry at him because he was losing it over nothing. And then that turned into a tantrum. But I knew that deep down, this was all to do with this stuff that's going on at school. And the school has strategies in place and at the moment, and things things are being worked out that way. But we have to get through this ugly time. Now, if I let him, the easy option would be to let him have it yesterday when he asked to have a day of school, That would have been the easy option. But then he's got to face this all. And I always think, I want to teach him stuff so that he's got these skills for life. I was speaking to my friend there, she's like, oh, it's not fair that you're having to go through this. And I was like, well, unfortunately, this is part of life. And this is the part that they need. But if he can start learning strategies for just walking away, not reacting. So what's been happening is Cooper also is reacting. So when he reacts, then he's reacting and is getting in trouble as well. So because he's reacting to what other people are doing. But if we can he's starting to learn strategies to keep him calm and to not react. So one of them was putting his thumb in his hand to take a deep breath. And I'm like, there's adults that can't do that. So if you can start doing this at 9, you're going to be like, you know, in front of so many people by the time you are 20, you know, and, you know, but like going back to this morning, so last week we had a rough morning, and obviously that was the catalyst of me going, oh, this stuff must be, you know, that was the kind of trigger for me to go, oh, this other stuff must be going on again. And it's hard because we try to only focus on the positives. So when we pick him up from school, what's the best thing that happened today? What did you know, so not to say like, because when it first happened, for a long time, we were focusing on the negatives, which I think was making it, so what happened today? What happened with this kid? You know, so we were asking those things, and it was making it worse. But again, you only learn through experience. So we've only been really focusing on the positives. And like, so yeah, one day last week, which was, I guess, the thing to realize that it was going on again, is that he got upset one morning, not wanting to go to school, and then he kind of had this real kind of tantrum. So the same thing happened this morning. Last week it lasted for 40 minutes. This morning, it was probably half of that time, because I'd learnt from last week on how to manage it better this time, and what he needed during this time. The thing where looking after you comes into play in these situations is by being calm. Now, if your tank is empty, if your cup is empty, if you are feeling stressed yourself, yes, there's things I always feel stressed about, but I manage my stress. And I'll give you some tips how to do that after. If you are, if you're tired, if you are, you know, if you're already kind of cranky or angry at other stuff that's going on, when this situation happens, you know, like I didn't expect it to happen this morning. He went to bed last night and he said he had the best Monday ever, because he went up in his swimming grade, and he'd had a really great day at school. So I did not expect him to be losing it this morning about going to school. I was calm, and I didn't react to his reactions. But it's because I've made sure that I put things into place for me, which means I can be better for him when he's in this situation. Because understanding Cooper's personality, you know, my kids don't like shouting. If I shouted back at him, if I was frustrated, and the only reason I know is because I've done it all before. If I was frustrated and angry, and then I took that out on him, because he was shouting and he was upset and he was crying, and it was really over nothing, and he was blaming Charlie for something she didn't really do, and this was all masking obviously what he was truly feeling. If I wasn't calm, it was annoying. Trust me, it was annoying. I was annoyed because I wanted to go down the beach. It's my favorite start to the day. I wanted to go down the beach before school, and I knew that if we didn't go at that time, I wouldn't be able to go for the rest of the day because I didn't have enough time between stuff. So I'd missed out on something. So I was frustrated at that when he was reacting. You know, he was making a kind of big deal from what I'd seen over nothing. So I was frustrated, but I knew that taking any of that frustration out of him wouldn't help the situation. So I needed to stay calm to help him calm down. And I'd learned from the week before, instead of it lasting 40 minutes, it lasted only 20. So that's a real step forward. But I'm just using my life example because there is going to be something that you're going to come across, whether, you know, you have kids, whether your kids are older, whether it's grandkids, or whether there's someone at work or something else, whether you're going to come across a situation and you're going to need to be the best version of yourself for it. And to be that best version, because we don't know when that situation is going to come, and you need to be that best version. And to be that best version of yourself, it doesn't mean that you're selfish. It doesn't mean that you don't care about your kids or your family or anything else. It doesn't make you a bad person. Being that best version of yourself makes you better for everybody else. So then when you're in these patches or these rough spots, you don't lose it with them. This morning could have been 1,000 times worse if I lost it. And there was times that I did, because he was just being it was just getting worse, and it was just getting worse and worse, and it was really a little bit, and if I really lost it, it would have made it 1,000 times worse. But I was calm, and I spoke calmly, and I just focused on what we were doing, and I ended up getting us out for a walk, because I thought, well, that suits the dog. We're out in nature, and we got out for a walk, and he was a different person. And it also meant that by the time that we got to school, his mood had cleared. So I want you to take my story and to think about it for something that may happen in your life, and make sure that you are being the best version of yourself. So how I think you can be the best version of yourself is firstly starting to identify stresses and managing stress. Stress is a silent killer. It builds up, and we don't realize it. I think people have so much stress. This morning was stressful for me. That was stressful. Being in traffic was stressful. So stress doesn't just have to be when something traumatic happens. Stress happens from day-to-day life. Getting caught in traffic is stressful. If you forget something, can you need a water bottle, that can be stressful. Any of those things. So it's looking to manage your stress levels and stay on top of it. Another thing I see happen all the time is people only start to manage it when it gets to a bad point. And this is why I'm letting you know now, because don't let it get to that point. Start managing your stress now while it's good, and you can stay on top of it, and you will start to feel even better. And when you do feel better, don't drop your stress management, strategies. Now, they can be anything that works for you. My first tip is actually start to identify what your stresses are. So what are the things that are stressing you out? And I like to write lists, and then from the list, write from there what is in your control and what is not in your control. So the things that are in your control, then I would go through them and start looking at what you could change. What you could change that's going to work out for you. When I first did this, I realized I was booking clients in too close to each other because I was trying to help everybody and make sure that I could fit them all in. But I was booking everybody in too close. So booking them in too close, which was putting me under more stress. So I had to drive to someone's house and be back here, and I'd only left myself the very minimal amount of time to do that. So that's one thing that I was doing, but I could change that. I was saying yes to things just to be polite, and I didn't really want to do it. So I now really have a good think about whether this is going to work for me, or is it going to add me more stress. I also was, I was going to visit my gran, and then I was having to get back from there to school, and it was too tight. And that was putting one day, I remember one day, there's to get from my parents' house, my grandma's living with my mum and dad, to get from my parents' house to school, you have to go on a major highway. And if there's one accident on the highway, it's gridlocked. And there was an accident on the highway, and it was gridlocked, and my heart was racing, because if I miss my son, who has anxiety and everything else, if I was not standing at the gate where he was expecting me to be standing, he would lose it. And I was trying to ring people I knew to make sure to tell him that I was there, and I was trying to go back roads, and it was horrible. It was so stressful. And that's all things I could change. That's all things I had control over. So that's my first tip, because if I was still feeling stressed over those daily tasks, the thing that stressed me out is the kitchen's messy. I don't like the kitchen being messy. So, and if the dishes are still there in the morning from the night before, so having a nice, tidy, calm house, that makes me feel better, which again reflects on to my kids. So that's my first tip is look at your stresses and look at managing them. So that's the first thing, looking at things you can control, can't control, and things you can't control, let it go. Let it go, and don't let it build up. The other thing is for stress management, is adding things that fill your cup. So filling your cup can be anything. It can be, doing something social with your friends, exercising, going on holidays, pampering yourself, reading books, going to the beach, anything, going for walks, riding your bike, whatever it is that makes you feel good and gives you some of that time to yourself is not selfish. It's going to make you a better mum for your kids. And that is going to fill your cup up and fill up your cup, fill up your tank, so then you can be calm when these situations happen because you feel good about yourself. That's a thing is really important, and I see so many mums struggle with that because they feel that they have to give everything to their kids, and but you end up being burnt out. And it is just so important. And when you can manage all these things and you're feeling a lot calmer, then and a big thing I put into my life was meditations, and I struggled. I really struggled with meditations because I think they call it monkey mind, and I probably still breathe too fast and all of that, and I struggled to really slow down. So lots of times when I was doing yoga, I'd be like, come on, hurry up, get this done. I need to do this. Come on. I'd be kind of like that in my head all the time. I would always be like that. And then I started doing yoga more regularly. And then I found one day I actually looked forward to the Savasana. Like I looked forward to the end bit and I thought, oh, what's this? And I started to relax. And then I saw how good meditations made me feel. So I found a guided meditation that I liked. So I found it on YouTube. I found one that I liked, and I listened to it every day if I can. I maybe don't get it every day. It might be every second day, but I listen to it every day. And I like to go for a bath. So I go for a bath, I put my meditation on and I listen to it in the bath. And when I finish that, I feel so much calmer. The meditation's 17 minutes, and we can all set aside some of that time for ourselves, because then I come out and also sometimes when I know I'm really worked up or something else, I'll be like, I just need to go and calm down. And I'll just need to go and that's what I need to do. And even my kids know just to leave me alone while I'm doing this. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't mean I don't love them. It means that I've put something in for myself so that I can be better for them. And you're also teaching your kids to look after themselves too. That's what's important as well. You know how you feel when you're burnt out, you're tired, you're lacking energy, you don't want to do anything, all of those, how you feel in that way. And you know how good you feel when you've had a holiday or you've had a break. Why not incorporate more of that stuff into your life? Incorporate it every day if you can. And I do try every day to do something for my stress management daily. I do it daily. And like I said before, do it when things are good. Do it when they're good, because what I see people goes, oh, everything's all right now. So they kind of let it slide, and don't let it slide, because it will then build up and then it will hit you, when you don't expect it. So stay on top of it all the time. So some other things I do for stress management is beach. The beach helps me. I'm a beach person. I know the beach is not for everybody, but I love the beach. I love walking in the sand. So I try to incorporate the thing of going to the beach, going for a walk on the beach, doing that daily or weekly, whatever I can do. I love going for saunas. So just recently we bought a sauna for the house because I knew, and it's something that I've been wanting for a while, because I knew that to drive somewhere to go to a sauna would add extra stress on, and I wasn't going to do it. So I bought that for the house, and that's something that, again, we I'm going for saunas very regularly, and that is one of my stress management strategies. I also have a spa, and I really enjoy going in the spa. And the thing I love is, and this is just me, it's different for you, is I love going in first thing in the morning when, my favorite kind of part of the day, it probably sounds horrible, is I love that bit of, I probably get like half an hour, 40 minutes to myself in the morning. And I really enjoy that. I can kind of piece together what I want to do for my day, or what I need to do, or I can kind of put all that stuff together and you don't have the constant, the classes are busy, so you've got that chatter from people and whatever else is going on with them. As a trainer, you get told a lot, and you're a big support for people, especially because sometimes you're that person removed. Then you have your kids, so there is a lot going on. So I do, this is why managing my stress is really important. So I love going for a spa in the morning. When it's dark, I can, the spa's outside, so I can see the stars, and there's no one else around, and I just maybe get that 5-10 minutes to myself. Exercise is a non-negotiable for me. It is something I'm really passionate about, but it keeps me calm. So, some form of exercise. I prefer to work out on my own. I do like doing group classes, but it just depends on my mood. Running, keeps me nice and calm. Any type of exercise, that's something important. And meditations. So meditations are, like I said, something that I only just probably started really getting into after Charlie was born. And I read a statistic that people that meditate they reduce the risk of Alzheimer's and all of that. So I was just like, and I feel so much calmer. I have include yoga into my week in some form. We run a yin yoga class, which is always beautiful and calming. And so I'm always managing my stress that way. And the other thing I do is I talk to a friend. When you have people that that you can trust. And when you're upset, I feel it's always good to get it out. So my mum is generally the one that I ring. She knows it's bad if I'm ringing her at 8 o'clock in the morning. I can imagine her. So, but that's my kind of stress management tips. And what I want you to just think about is being good for you. Being good for you, being good for your family and your kids. So when any situations arise, and I'm just using this bullying example that's been going on in our house, you can be calmer and better for them. And you can teach them good strategies. But if you are emotional, if you are angry, frustrated at something else that's going on in your life, you're not going to be the best version of you for your kids. And that's what they need you to be. They really need you to be that best version for them. And, it's hard. What they're going through is hard, and it's not fair, and it's not nice. It's also I just didn't expect it. But it is what it is. And I feel, I know he's going to become a stronger and better person for everything he's gone through. The other thing to really think about is when you're in these situations is to not make it about you. So this is about your child. It's not about what happened to you as a child. If you see things differently or it wasn't like this, it's a different era now. It's a different era to when you were a kid. They've seen more, experienced more through social media, through YouTube or whatever else things they've watched or seen, or friends, and if you haven't let your kids watch those shows, they have friends that at school that have, and all of those things. It's a different world. So don't take your experiences and I got through it, so it's fine, or no, it's not that bad. Any of those things, they don't need that. They need you to be there and listening to them. And managing your stress and doing things that fill your cup is going to help you be that person for them. And that's what I feel is so, so, so important. And I know as my kids get older, we're only going to have more of these types of experiences and things. And that's why I'm going to always be prioritizing me and looking after me so I can be better for them. And so today, please take away from today what is that you need to do to fill your cup, and what is the things that you need to help you stay on top of your stress. And you are doing this not to be selfish. You are doing this to be a better version of yourself for all the people around you. And that's super important. All right, I'm going to love yous and leave yous on that note. And if you know anybody that this may help, please share, because the more people that we listening to our podcast is just so important, and the more people we could help is also just as important, because if you stay on top of your stress, you're going to be a better version of yourself for everyone around you. Right, loving yous and leaving yous. Bye.